My name is Elizabeth Jansen and I'm the flute professor at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. This video on the Anderson D-flat major etude from the Texas All-State Audition Repertoire is going to address some basic techniques that you can apply when you first begin practicing this etude. This is obviously an etude that's going to require some double tonguing. The speed of the etude and all of the repeated notes are your first indication of that. But not all students who are going up for these auditions have necessarily begun using this technique. This is a great opportunity to start down that road. This is the kind of etude that I'd probably assign to one of my students if they were starting their double tonguing technique after they'd had a chance to practice in a couple of other places first. The first thing you want to make sure about your double tonguing is that it's even and has equal weight. There are a number of exercises out there. You can ask your band directors or your flute teachers to provide you with an exercise that allows you to practice double tonguing with do and ku syllables and the reverse. And that will help you even out your double tonguing and create a nice even equal articulation that you can add to a scale and then eventually to repertoire. Once you've practiced double tonguing in those exercises, try adding it to a scale. And since we're working with D-flat major, that's where I'd start. And the first thing you want to do is try slurring it, because an important thing to remember when you're double tonguing is that you keep the air pumping past the tongue. The tongue is almost pushing the air out rather than stopping the air like you think of an articulation normally doing. So we're going to slur first. And then add repeated notes and eighth notes. I can speed that up or add 16th notes. I'm really making an effort to focus on my blowing and how the air is being used. It needs to maintain its speed and its consistency. When you feel comfortable with your exercises and your scales, now you're ready to add it to the etude. Be careful of the marking molto staccato. To students who grow up with the American band culture, when we see a staccato, especially from a contemporary piece, we think very short and detached. But in this piece, it's really looking for bounce and lightness. If you get too heavy or too detached, you're not going to have the speed that's required to be able to play this etude up to tempo. So I would start with a nice slow tempo with a very smooth double tonguing articulation. And then from there, gradually speed it up. Try to think of three things. First, keeping that air flowing. Second, keep the tongue close to the roof of your mouth. And third, keep your mouth open, the inside of your mouth, I mean. Don't let it close down because you're thinking so much of the double tonguing. If you can keep the tongue relaxed and an open posture and keep that air flowing, you'll have no problem over time working the speed of your articulation up to a tempo that's appropriate for this etude. But those are three key factors that you have to keep in mind as you're working up the tempo. And take your time. Right now, it's still September. If you're watching this video when it's a little closer to All-State time, still don't hesitate to spend the time slowly. If you learn the etude slowly with a nice even double tongue, it will be easy to speed it up eventually. And for me as a juror, when I'm listening to people auditioning, I'd much rather hear that you took the time to learn this correctly than to hear it be messy and have you stop because your tonguing is out of control. That's it for double tonguing today.